Tell you, I love me some church. Always have, always will. When I was a little bitty boy, I loved me some church. That organ, Ron, remember how the organ just run through you? Oh, I just love that feeling. It's no better than a bowl of Cheerios. I love that organ just running through you. I love the choir singing. I love the preacher preaching. The only thing I had a problem with was that old lady shouting. Hitting me upside my head. Other than that, I love me some church. Love me some church. This is the last Wednesday of this month, and we're going to
Sunday.
Y'all laughing. But everybody in here has had a senior moment. More than once. You're picking on me. That's what tell them about this. Because I got the day wrong. Sometimes I get my name wrong. Harvest of gratefulness. We've been talking about this thing all month long. And Reverend Lisa, she picks these subjects and does such a good job of putting it together, and I try to support her message in every way that I can. When we think about this coming Thursday, we think about Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving kind of represents our sharing of our harvest. One of the most common ways of sharing and showing our harvest of gratefulness is by sharing food with one another. However, statistics show that many of us are going to gain at least 5 pounds between now and the end of the year. Thanksgiving is the kickoff of our celebration of the many blessings that has been bestowed on us. At Christmas time, we'll turn our attention to the birth of the Christ understanding that produces and multiplies our blessings. Then on New Year's Eve, we'll make a final toast in appreciation for all those blessings. And then New Year's Day, we're going to put on those last few pounds, eating food that reminds us of when we seemingly didn't have anything to celebrate. All of our holiday activities, our worship services and the cocktail parties, and everything in between, and particularly the gestures of goodwill and gift-giving, are in recognition and made possible by our harvest of gratefulness. Showing gratitude, giving thanks and blessings to others, reflects the Christ consciousness, which is the true reason for this season. People who count their blessings, those of you who demonstrate God's blessing, you tend to be folks that can find a blessing in every experience and find their greatest joy by helping someone else. People like Zig Ziglar. He's a country boy from Alabama. Grew up in Yazoo, I should say, Mississippi. In my opinion, one of the greatest salesmen and motivational speakers in the world. His motto was, you can get everything you want by helping others get what they want. What he had to say about our topic for this month, he says, gratitude is the healthiest of all human emotions. The more we express gratitude for what we have, the more likely we will have more to express gratitude for. And then there's our sister and best friend to everybody, Oprah Winfrey. Now y'all may not know, her mother did not name her Oprah. Her mother named her Orpah, after one of the wives in the book of Ruth. Orpah, which means youthful consciousness of self over spiritual things. But Oprah, those of you who know anything about her story, know that when she was a youth, her life was not a bed of roses. She was born dirt poor in rural Mississippi. She was molested at 12, pregnant at 14, and her premature baby died at birth. But in spite of those beginnings, this is what she has to say. Be thankful for what you have, and you'll end up with even more. She says if you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never have enough. And then there's the Dalai Lama. That's not his name, by the way, that's his designation. He's a Tibetan Buddhist leader. The 14th Dalai Lama is Tenzin Gyatso. He was born on a straw mat in a cowshed, similar to Jesus the Christ. 15 siblings that his family had to feed. He said this about a heart of gratefulness. He says, the root of all goodness lies in the soil of appreciation for goodness. In other words, the root of all goodness lies in your soul's appreciation for the good things that have been produced by it, for it, and benefits you. And then there's the great writer and poet Alice Walker. Born in Georgia, sharecropping home. She was blind in one eye because her little brother shot her in the eye with a BB gun when she was a kid. As much as we enjoy her great writings, what most of us don't know is that her writings were inspired by some tough times, by an abortion that she had her senior year of college, the depression that followed that, and the suicidal thoughts that followed the depression. But in spite of those beginnings, her motto is this. She says, thank you is the best prayer that anyone can say. So when Thanksgiving dinner comes around and they call on you to do the prayer, you don't have to come up with nothing eloquent. You don't have to come up with nothing that rhymes and something that you may have heard a preacher say. All you have to do is simply say, thank you for the blessings that we have received, are receiving, and all of those that we're going to receive. You see, people who come from humble beginnings and end up doing great things have some things in common. All of these folk had a few things in common. They believed in a power greater than themselves. They overcame life's challenges. They discovered that power within themselves. They became successful by helping others. And one of the things they had in common, every one of them was born on a farm. No wonder they became experts at a harvest for gratefulness. In spite of their struggles, they opened the door to God's eternal blessings. As we look forward to the food and fellowship that we're all going to have on Thanksgiving, just take the time to say thank you. Show gratitude for every experience in life. Show gratitude for every expression of life. Now, I know that there's some of y'all listening to me right now that say, Reverend Jerrold, I hear what you're saying, but you just don't understand what I've been through. You just don't know what my life has been like. You don't know all the people that I love and all the people that I lost. Every time I've tried to find happiness, I get disappointed over and over again. I've been through too much. I've lost too many. If you're thinking that right now, I want to tell you, if that's what you believe, you're absolutely right. I don't understand. I can empathize with you, but I can't feel what you feel, nor can I change your mind. But here's what I understand, here's what I believe, and here's what I know. I understand that no matter what happened yesterday, you can take Reverend Lisa's advice and step into the now of a new experience. I believe that when you are thankful for where you've been, when you're grateful for where you are, When you're faithful in where you're going, abundant blessings will flow in your life. And here's what I know. I know that you have the power and presence of God within you, awaiting your recognition. I know that nothing can separate you from his love. And if you embrace his love, if you embrace that power of God within you, your desires will become your reality. I understand, I believe, and I know. The day that you're born again, the day that you get a new idea of yourself, I know that the day that you are circumcised, the day you eliminate that which no longer serves you, the day that you are baptized, the day that you undergo a spiritual cleansing of mind, body, and soul, the day that you are crucified, the day that your selfish material desires no longer control you, the day of your resurrection, the day you see yourself as the original image and likeness in which you were created, the day that you ascend and embody the highest level of spiritual knowing, all of you will have a harvest of gratefulness. Ernest Holmes says this. He says, he says it, but he says it so it'll become your proclamation for your life. He says, today the possibilities of my experiences are unlimited. He said, life opens to me rich, full, and abundant. My thoughts are the keys that open the door to a greater life. Every idea is bound to produce an effect exactly like its cause. And the responsibility for setting the law in motion is yours. When you realize that what we have and what we are is the result of our subjective state of our thoughts, then we can have a harvest of gratefulness. In street vernacular, in my Fremont language, I'll say it this way. It's not just where you come from, but it's what you bring with you that determines your final destination. See, it's not where you've been, it's not what you've experienced, it's not all them tough times that you've been through that's going to determine what you are now and what you're going to be. It's what you take from those experiences forward. That's what's going to determine your harvest of gratefulness. Not long ago, a few days ago, my wife and I went to see a movie. The movie was called Harry. Have y'all seen Harry? Yeah. As I looked at that movie, I couldn't help but think about a topic, a harvest of gratefulness. Being thankful for the essence of life itself and all the experiences that come with it, including physical death. You see, you can't control how long you're going to stay here. So you might as well put your energy in making the most out of the days that you are here. See, as long as we're afraid of what's going to come next, we're going to limit the ability to make the most out of what we have. Harriet didn't always have that concept, but she grew to understand that concept. She was able to free others because she relinquished her fear of death. She couldn't read. She had to use her intuitive knowing and her instincts to find her way. During her time on the plantation, somebody had hit her in the head, made a little gash on her forehead. Because of that trauma, she was known to have blackouts and what they used to call in the old days spells. But instead of her using her spells as a limitation, she used her spells and her blackouts as a time to be still and know. They told her if she wanted to get out of the situation she was in, she had to follow the North Star. The North Star is more than a natural compass. The North Star represents a light that leads us to a purposeful destination. It's a symbol of inspiration. It's a symbol of hope. Spiritually, the North Star is that same star that the Magi followed so they could lay eyes on the Christ child that was just born. They followed that North Star because they were seeking spiritual knowledge to complement the mental wisdom that they already possessed. You see, these wise kings had great ideas that came from the east, which was within them. And they traveled north to elevate their consciousness, to find the Christ, so they can elevate themselves. There's no coincidence that Herod was given those same directions when she was fleeing from the south. The south represents our subconscious mind full of fear, doubt, hatred, and oppression. So we head north to a higher consciousness of hope, faith, potential, and freedom. The North Star leads us to the Christ awakening within ourselves. The best of yourself in the midst of dark times and disappointments. Spiritual, the starting point, the symbol that leads us to a deeper spiritual understanding. You see, that North Star is the Christ consciousness that produces the harvest of gratefulness that restores your truth. But like Herod, when you think things just can't get any worse, when you're surrounded by the slave masters, when you're enslaved by hopelessness and fear, somehow you have to find the courage to jump. She jumped into the water because she said to herself, if I can't be free, I might as well die. That's right. Nothing's going to stop me from reaching the goal that I'm trying to reach. Remember, she was dealing with an intuitive knowing. Somebody had told her the way to go, and she was following those instincts within her spirit, within her heart, within her soul. So she jumped into the water. Her harvest of gratefulness required a baptism. It required a spiritual cleansing of the mind. You see, when you're passing through the water, you have to wade in the water to reach Jerusalem, a place of peace and freedom of expression. Harriet Tubman was a classic example of how we can overcome anything. We have to believe in something inside ourselves in order to lead ourselves to freedom. We have to have the faith to see beyond our circumstances and see the life that we desire. We have to be strong enough to overcome the trauma that breeds self-hatred and self-doubt. You see, when the slave was trying to get loose, the slave master was not their biggest adversary. Their biggest adversary were those slave trappers. Their biggest adversary were the folk who looked just like them that would tell master everything they was planning to do. Our biggest adversary is self-doubt, self-hatred. Once we're able to overcome those things, once we convert our heart and mind and see ourselves worthy, then our enemies, our experiences, our trauma, our drama, they become our ally. The same preacher that told her that God loved an obedient slave was the same preacher that inspired her and gave her her directions to freedom. The slave trapper that was hired to bring her back turned out to be the lead scout for her freedom. You see, once she reached her destination, once she reached the north, the consciousness of higher expectations, once she saw that she had the potential to be educated, once she saw that she could become sophisticated, once she saw black folk owning their own business, once she was able to collaborate with those who love God's law above human rules. You see, most of us, if we'd have made it that far, try walking to San Francisco. It was 600 miles from where she was to where she went. Most of us, if we make that trip by foot with very few supplies, very few rations, all we had was the hope and the faith in God to get there. Most of of us would have got there and looked around and saw all the lavish surroundings and black folks dressed up, free, walking, doing what they want to do, none of us would have came back. Not one of you. You would have said, here I arrived. I'm going to enjoy this party. No more master beating up on me. But you see, Harriet had a different idea. Harriet decided to turn her negative experiences of the past into a harvest of gratefulness. Her desire to share her conscious awakening was greater than her fear. Her idea of slavery was no longer an oppressor. The idea of slavery became a motivator to Harriet. No people in history has faced the systematic oppression that so-called blacks faced in the so-called New World. No, slavery has been in existence since the beginning of time. But the systematic manipulation that they put them through, you through, us through, created a tremendous trauma that most of us carry to this day. Yet, our contributions at every level of society are more than noteworthy. We've exhibited excellence in every field of endeavor that we've pursued. Being grateful for every life experience doesn't mean that you're happy about them. It means that you're motivated to experience your best life because of them. Many of the dishes that you're going to eat over the next few weeks, some of the gourmet cuisine that you're going to take part in, came out of the scraps and leftovers that you was getting. That bread pudding, scraps and leftovers. Even macaroni and cheese, scraps and leftovers. If it wasn't for scraps and leftovers, you wouldn't know what turnip greens are. Because Master took the green and threw you the root, thinking that it was no good. You cooked that root. You seasoned that root. You put a little fat back in that root and made it good. You can take the leftovers that life has given you and make them good. Our ability to turn what life gives us into our blessings is our harvest for gratefulness. It's not an easy task. We need counsel to overcome and cope with the trauma that we have and the trauma we will continue to experience. That's why I love church. Y'all can't afford no psychologists or psychiatrists. That's $250 an hour. I can't get you to put $250 in the plate. Church, for many, was and is our only support vehicle. It was the only thing made available to them. That's why I have such love and appreciation for what y'all call old-time religion. Can you imagine living in a society where it was illegal to be free? No rights as a human being? Someone could show up at any day and time and snatch the children from you? You were put in a frame of mind where you couldn't trust nobody? You were even so afraid of yourself, you wouldn't even love yourself, you wouldn't even love your family, you wouldn't even extend compassion to anybody else because you didn't want to feel the pain when they were taken away. You were told by your preacher that God himself ordained your circumstances. He told you that if you just obey what you were told, that the person the picture on the wall would bless you. If not now, he bless you in the by and by. Church leaders, back in those days, they may have parroted the message that they were instructed to give. But church, even though it had been modified as a tool of complacency, that same church was our beacon of hope. That same church was the foundation for our education, our inspiration, our hope, and our faith. That same church gave us the opportunity to fellowship, wear clean clothes, and eat the whole chicken, not just the feet and the neck. The blessings from the man whose picture was displayed on the wall gave us the hope that we needed to face another day. The idea of heaven gave us faith in a better tomorrow. It was our only link to freedom. It was our only link to the individual thought that the spiritual experience and power within us could bring our imagination true in our lives, visual, manifested as a better life tomorrow. Without church, you would have had none of that. Can you imagine this? All you good New Thought folk. Can you imagine me standing here speaking to a church full of people who've been beaten and raped all week long and telling you, if you change your mind, you'll change your life? It wouldn't have flown. It wouldn't have got you too far. The gospel experience of Jesus in the flesh saved us then and continues to provide a community of believers, educators, and motivators to this day. Now, I personally don't think that we would have the opportunity to evolve without faith in someone, without faith in something, without believing that something was our benefactor, something was our Savior. A New Thought message would not have manifested an Underground Railroad. Nor would it produce all our black colleges and universities. Now, I'm not saying that Christianity was the only religious practice that we observed back in those days. As a matter of fact, that choir that you heard singing, those praise dancers that you witnessed, those drums that you hear playing, that Holy Spirit that you get when the preacher preaches, that came from your African roots. Yes. Wasn't no party going on in the Master's church. They might have been singing Rock of Ages, but they wasn't stomping their feet. They wasn't clapping their hands. They wasn't getting their praise on like we do. We had what we needed, and it got us this far by faith. We needed the gospel of Jesus Christ then. Just like we'll always need the truth that emanated through the Christ consciousness to produce our harvest of gratefulness. Jesus said something that was very apropos to our lesson. He said, the harvest is great, but the laborers are few. Chapter 10. I'm glad you picked Luke because I did too. Chapter 10, verses 1 through 7. After these things, Jesus selected from his disciples 70 others and sent them 2 by 2 before him to every place and every city to which he was to go. And he said to them, the harvest is great, and the laborers are few. He asked therefore the owner of the harvest to bring out laborers to his harvest. He said, go forth, behold, I send you as lambs among wolves. Do not carry purses, nor bags, nor shoes, and do not salute any man on the road. And to whatever house you enter, first say, peace to this house. And if a man of peace is there, let your peace rest upon him. And if not, your peace will return to you. Remain in that house, eating and drinking of what they have. For a laborer is worthy of his wages. Do not keep moving from house to house. Jesus was sending a message ahead of him. So when he got there, y'all will already know what time it was. The book says 70. The number 7 represents 7, the number of spiritual perfection. He uses that number because our 5 senses is what gets us in all the trouble. But when you combine those 5 senses with your 2 spiritual senses, that intuitive knowing that Harriet was using, and that telepathic thought that Harriet was using, that ability to communicate without words, that faith that she had in something and somebody that was talking to her and leading her and guiding her. He was saying that the Christ consciousness brings about a spiritualization that harmonizes the senses and increases our power. 2 spiritual senses combined with the 5, they optimize our ability to have a harvest of gratefulness. He was saying that the harvest is our body, the harvest is our mind, the harvest is our soul, spiritualized and regenerated until it becomes an expression of a higher life. He said the time is right now for the harvest. He said the harvest is plentiful, but there are not many people willing to redeem and uplift themselves and uplift others. He said the laborers are few. All Jesus was doing was asking you to do what? Just do the work. Just put forth the effort. The spiritualized faculties of senses. He referred to them as lambs in the midst of wolves. You see, temptation attacks us through the senses. Those senses are lambs. Those lambs need to invoke the divine love and the divine wisdom to fight off the animal hunger in order to remain immune to making those same mistakes over and over and over. Your senses are the lambs and the wolves. That's your material idea. Those are those desires that make you want to take something from somebody instead of giving something to somebody. He said, carry no purse, take no wallet. You don't even need shoes. He said, salute no man on the way. He said, lay aside every impediment. And should you put your full faith in God, it will sustain you. It will enable you to complete the work. Devote yourself wholeheartedly to a spiritualization in the process, not material acquisitions. Proclaim peace in this house. We would speak a word of peace to the body and hold it, hold on to it through the harmony, and whatever comes to us in discord will have no power against us. Peace, be still, I believe is what they said. The peace that gives to others, the peace you give to others, is the same peace that will return to you. On Thursday, we all going to sit down around the table with our family and our friends. We're going to eat and drink in the consciousness of peace. Once you acquire the harvest of gratefulness within, there'll be no need to look for spiritual food in other places. Once you get to grandma's house, once you get to auntie's house, once you get to your sister's house, and you see that table full of a harvest of gratefulness. Once you eat that food, and that food gives you that satisfaction, and that feeling of comfort, that feeling of peace, that feeling of security, you know what it's like when the food is just real good. You're not thinking about getting up going to nobody else's house. You waiting on that bread pudding, that peach cobbler, and the potato pie for dessert. That's what Jesus was telling me. He said, Go and find that place where you're being fed the peace and the nourishment of spirituality that you need. And when you find it, you won't need to go to nobody else's house. You'll have everything you need. But that journey that they were taking, that journey that they have to take, the journey that you have to take to receive your harvest of gratefulness, that journey is you coming from somewhere to where you want to go. That somewhere may have had some disappointments in your life. That somewhere somebody may have abused you. Somebody may have lied to you. Somebody may have left you. Somebody may have stole all your money on a bad business deal. Everybody in this room has been through something. Most of us have been through a hell of a lot. We can take that experience and remember how bad it was, or we can take that experience and know how good it's going to be. It's your choice. It's for you to choose. As I said earlier, I can't change your mind. If you want to leave here today with a woe is me attitude, woe is you. But anybody who's been there, anybody who was raised on the farm, anybody who started out down here, they know where they are today. They sitting in LA Third Church, got their best clothes on, holding their head up high, listening to what Reverend Lisa and Reverend Jerrold got to say, clapping their hands when the choir is singing. Somebody, somewhere, something has blessed you in spite of where you live. You have received a harvest of gratefulness. But if you concentrate on what you don't have, guess what you're going to get? More of what you don't have. But if you concentrate on what you can have, guess what you're going to get? That you desire. But don't forget the trick now. The trick is not acquiring for self. The trick is acquiring for so you can help somebody else. Harriet didn't do what she did for herself. If she had her, she would have stayed away. That was a nice boarding house she was in. She didn't have a care in the world. But she used her trauma, she used the hard life to bring good life to other folk. That's right. How many of y'all going to bring good life to somebody? Are you going to allow the self-hatred that our past trauma has put on us to keep you from reaching out and embracing someone else? I told a congregation not too long ago. They asked me what's going to take to change our community. What's it going to take to bring us up to another level? I told them that we already had everything that we need. I told them to imagine that if all of the pro athletes, all of the movie stars, all of the business owners, if everybody would have job in any income at all, took 10% of what they had and put it in a trust fund account, interest bearing, we would have enough money to educate every black child. We would have enough money to write loans for every homeowner that needs a home. We could take care of all the homeless. There would be no community issues in our community. It's not happening. Why? Remember those brothers that they sent to chase Harriet? Remember that preacher that told her that she got to do what mouth to say in order to go to heaven? That's why. Self-hatred, self-doubt. We don't trust each other enough to put the money in the pot for fear somebody's going to take it. So stop waiting on the White House to change. It's not going to make a difference. The only thing that's make a difference is if you feel like Harriet jumped into the water. Say yourself you're going to be free. Stop looking over your shoulder, put the money in the pot, and take care of your family. That's all it requires. You have a harvest of gratefulness already. We have enough amongst us to do whatever it is we choose to do. But there's a reason it's not happening. The reason Self-doubt. I hate to tell you, don't get mad at me. That's the only reason. The only reason we don't have is because we don't love. I'm going to leave you with some questions. Are you thankful enough for what he's brought you through? Are you counting your blessings that emerged from uncertainty? Are you grateful for all the crops your soul has produced? Do you see yourself? Do you see your life as a harvest of gratefulness? Are you willing to join the labor force and share your spiritual bounty with others? I'm going to say that one again. Are you willing to join the labor force? Are you willing to be one of the few that set somebody else free? Yes. Are you willing to do that? Yes. If you are, I'm going to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And I'm going to tell you to enjoy your harvest of gratefulness. God bless you.